In recent years, the MGA Macon campus has had an increase in complaints about the present mailing system, whether it's packages being lost because they were placed in the wrong mailbox, or packages being extremely late because nobody was able to receive them. Our on-campus mailing system is in need of major help. That's why we developed SQUIRE. With SQUIRE, housing students and resident life staff can now track when packages will arrive, view past transactions, and pick up large packages 24/7. With our new MGA storage containers, students now have a safe and secure option for packages from any mailing service. We chose this idea since multiple students who reside on the Macon campus have experienced issues when receiving packages. Students who live on campus can't go to their home address every time they need to order and receive a package, so they rely on the resident mailing service to make sure packages are safe and delivered to the right location. Now we will demonstrate our hardware and web app functions, discuss problems that we experienced while making SQUIRE, and our final thoughts on the project.
In the case of hardware utilized by our product, the information system uses both keypads and keycards to protect client packages and ensure accurate authentication. When discussing how SQUIRE would protect student packages, it was agreed to utilize cubby-like storage with a locking mechanism. Due to price restrictions, our team utilized the program Visual Studio 2017 to create a digital representation of the locker. Our first prototype used the MGA 9-digit 93 number as our initial authorization method. However, it was brought to our attention how weak the security measure was. Rather than scrapping it, we coded a second authentication method in the form of a card reader that initiated the transaction process. Through continued testing, our final result is as will be shown. Initial card swipe, then utilizing a random 6-digit number granted by the IS database. Technical issues experienced in hardware creation include card swipe animation, random number generation, and an inability to have the hardware demonstrated communicate with the actual database. We were able to resolve the issues in the card swipe animation through the use of the refresh command, implemented into a for loop that altered the card's location. For random number generation, a common issue was that the variable utilized were private rather than public and could not be implemented initially on the public level. The issue was resolved through the use of a label-based workaround. In the case of the hardware database communication, we currently do not have the required materials necessary to complete the task. We have created a workaround which will be demonstrated in the product. However, further work is required before implementation. Now to show our final product. Okay, the visual demonstration works by having our clients swipe their MGA card, demonstrated by clicking the button, uh, then using the 6-digit number received, shown here, that would be received through the email when they first register. They have 3 attempts using the keypad and are shown success through receiving a message of open. Thank you.
Now that we've seen a demonstration of what the hardware implementation of the information system would look like, we would like to take a look at the web application used for students to actually interface with SQUIRE. Firstly, let's get a basic understanding of how SQUIRE works. As previously mentioned, SQUIRE is our solution to the issue of package delivery at Middle Georgia State University. And currently, the prototype for SQUIRE is broken into 2 major parts. The hardware simulation, which Cameron demonstrated earlier, which is used to emulate how the hardware would function in the implemented system. And secondly, it's the SQUIRE web app, which would be a major point of contact for students using SQUIRE to register or receive their packages through the system. The next few slides will help us get a general idea of how SQUIRE can actually be used. When you get started with SQUIRE, you first need to create an account. This requires two things: a unique username and a password which meets our password requirements, which will be discussed later. Once these are supplied, the student is able to log into the SQUIRE web app, but their functionality is still limited. To actually make use of the SQUIRE web app and system in general, the student must supply their MGA ID number so that the system can check if they're actually a student at the college. Once the ID is linked with the student's account, they can actually use SQUIRE. To register to receive a package through SQUIRE, the student needs to navigate to the Add Package page. Once there, the student need only supply the tracking number for the package, select the carrier from the provided list, and input the expected arrival date of the package to register for the package to arrive in the SQUIRE system. Once the package actually arrives at the SQUIRE locker location, a staff member there will flag the package as arrived and input which locker it's in. And this will be reflected on the user's home page, which lists the student's packages. The system will then send an email to the student containing instructions on how to retrieve their package from the locker, which requires the student to bring their night card to be scanned, as well as a one-time password sent to their email. In the event that a student is not able to access their SQUIRE account for some reason, a password reset email can be sent to their email on file if their account has already been associated with an MGA ID. Otherwise, the student will have to make a new account to use SQUIRE. Now that you have a general understanding of how SQUIRE works, let's give a brief demonstration of its functionality. Pictured here is the login page, where the users log in after they have a SQUIRE account. To create an account, they merely need to click the Create Account button. This is the Create Account page. Here, to create an account, you need to enter a username such as test account. Then enter a password such as test account 123 exclamation at, and repeat the password here. After that, the user can either click Create User to create the user, or click back to return to the login page. Once you've created a user, you will be prompted to continue to the logged in version of the site with an account you just created. Pictured here is the MGID number prompt page. This page prevents you from using most of the major functionality of the SQUIRE system until you've entered an MGA ID. The navigation bar does not work for any pages except for the About page until you have actually entered a valid ID. The Sign Out button does work as well. Now you must enter a valid MGA ID. Because our system is currently not integrated with swords, any 983 number of a valid length, as well as matching a few other requirements, will be accepted as a valid ID, and random data associated with that will be generated and input for the account information. For example, the ID I used was 983254888, and this created a random name of Maya Satterfield, generated a fake email from that, and a phone number. Because the only student type able to use SQUIRE currently is residential students, the student type is locked at residential. Now that we have an account, we can go to the home page, which is where our packages will be displayed once we have some, or we can add a new package. This is the new package page. Now that we're here, we need to input some information to add our package to the SQUIRE system. First, you must add a tracking number, such as my tracking number. Then you need to select the shipping company which will be bringing the package. Currently only 3 are listed, but this list will be expanded as necessary. Next, you must enter the expected date on which the package will arrive. Once all this information is input, you merely need to click the Submit button. Once all this information is input, you merely need to click the Submit button. And the program will crash. Shown here is the Add Package page. Here we can add a package to the SQUIRE system by merely entering a tracking number, big long tracking number, selecting a shipping company, more of which will be added as needed. Currently only 3 are listed. And an expected arrival date for the package. Once all this information has been entered, you merely need to click the Submit button, and the package will be added to the SQUIRE system with the fields being reset in case you want to add more packages. As you can see, now the package is shown properly on our Your Packages page, showing the package ID, the tracking number we supplied, the expected arrival date, the locker number, which will be filled out when the package arrived, whether the package has arrived, and the shipping company shipping the package. In this video, I've given a brief demonstration of how to use the SQUIRE system. Now, let's go to William for the conclusion.
SQUIRE will be a secure package delivery system. To protect users, multi-factor authentication will be enabled. Tracking packages as well as viewing past transactions are useful features of this application, as well as allowing pickup of large packages at any time. To create an account or add more packages, the user must supply a username, password, and MGA ID number. Students need to supply a tracking number, carrier name, and the expected arrival date of the package. In order to pick up a package, they are required to have a valid night card and their one-time password. If their account password is forgotten, they will be able to reset it via a reset link that is connected to their email. The service also requires a valid MGA ID.